Cybercab launch event sweepstakes opens. Riders who win those Austin slots aren't just getting a demo. They're supplying the precise edge case data that turns Cybercab's unsupervised miles into regulatory gold. Nevada's recent approval already showed the pattern. Austin now serves as the live lab where passenger interactions refine the model before competitors match the density. This forces crews to lease test fleets in the same corridor or face a 6-month lag in Texas certification. Every logged ride feeds the safety case for broader permits. Employee rides start Cybercab Austin rollout. Employee drivers logging those first miles aren't training the system. They're stress testing the handover protocols that will decide whether regulators greenlight unsupervised operations citywide. The real test comes when these vehicles switch to full autonomy with no one behind the wheel. That shift will reveal infrastructure limits faster than any closed-track test. This timeline forces Lyft to accelerate autonomy partnerships or lose share in those two cities by early next year. Data from these rides sets the benchmark other states will copy. Austin Wireless Charger Hub leased for Cybercab. The 80-stall wireless hub changes fleet economics by eliminating staffed charging stops entirely. Utilization rates rise when vehicles never require a human to plug in or move them between shifts. This second-order effect on daily miles per vehicle will pressure every other Robotaxi operator to secure similar sites. Waymo must now lease comparable Austin locations or accept a permanent utilization gap once operations begin. Expect the same pattern in Vegas before the end of the year. Nevada approves Tesla Robotaxi service. Las Vegas approval gives Tesla a second dense urban environment with different weather and traffic patterns than Austin. Regulators there move faster when they see proven miles from another jurisdiction. This forces crews to file their own Nevada paperwork within the next quarter or cede the convention and tourism corridors. The approval sets up a direct uptime comparison between the two cities by Q3 next year. That comparison will determine which company secures the first profitable robotaxi market. Einride orders record 500 Tesla semis. Einride's commitment to 500 units starting next September locks in Tesla's charging network as the backbone for their European expansion plans. The scale of the order means Einride will standardize operations around Tesla's semi-specific infrastructure rather than mixed fleets. This forces Nikola to either match the volume with their own customers or watch key logistics contracts move to Tesla-powered operations. Deployment timing also gives Tesla a 12-month head start on data from high-utilization European routes. Supercharger network falls to 4th in JD Power. Service tickets at high-traffic sites now take twice as long to close compared with 2024. The lag stems from parts shortages that hit the network after last year's expansion push. That gap hands rivals like Electrify America a narrow window to lock in fleet contracts before Tesla stabilizes its uptime. Watch for those operators to shift 15% of their long-haul routes onto competing chargers by Q4 next year if the pattern holds. Model Y/L achieves 358-mile real-world range. Real-world winter runs on similar packs have already shown a 12% drop below lab numbers. Buyers in colder states factor that degradation into every purchase decision now. That margin gives Tesla room to advertise aggressively while competitors scramble to match the sticker without subsidies. Ford will likely need to cut Explorer prices another 8% by spring or see its reservation queue stall in the Midwest. Regional data already shows the effect on competing reservations. First unofficial Model 3 HW4 retrofit done. The parts alone ran just under $2,400, sourced through gray market channels. That price point makes the upgrade viable for any owner chasing unsupervised FSD capability. Tesla must now decide whether to offer a factory program by late next year or watch third-party installs spread and dilute its hardware data advantage. Service centers report rising requests for similar swaps among performance buyers. The data from these units will differ enough to affect future FSD training sets. Port drayage operators there already run some of the strictest cold start and weight regulations in North America. Success on those routes would validate the semi for similar duty cycles from Seattle to Halifax. That validation forces Nikola to publish its own winter range data sooner or risk losing the next round of Canadian fleet RFPs. Fleet managers in the region have already requested demo slots for Q1. The outcome will shape how quickly other ports adopt electric tractors. Cybercab production advances at Giga Texas. Line speed at the new cell has already reached one vehicle every 45 seconds during trial runs. That pace puts unsupervised operations in Austin on track for early 2027, forcing Waymo to either match the Texas timeline or concede the state to Tesla's lower-cost fleet. Local officials have started drafting permit rules that assume daily fleet growth of 200 vehicles. The first paid rides could start by summer if regulators move fast. FSD software updates roll out this week. California DMV data shows FSD disengagements dropping only 12% quarter-over-quarter, despite the new code. That gap widens when vehicles hit construction zones without prior mapping. Ford and GM will need to either license Tesla's mapping layer or concede ground in their own driver assist certifications by early next year. Tesla's stock trades in volatile range. Options activity reveals heavy put buying at the 330 level from funds that already hold long positions. This isn't retail noise. It signals institutions preparing for a post-earnings gap if autonomy timelines slip another quarter. Retail traders chasing the upper band will absorb the exit liquidity. Optimus line installation progresses at Fremont. Space freed from Model S and X lines now hosts the first high-volume Optimus cells. Suppliers of servo motors will face sudden demand spikes once Tesla publishes yield rates next spring. ABB and FANUC must decide whether to undercut on price or lose the automotive robotics refresh cycle entirely. Megapack energy deals continue to expand. New supply agreements lock utilities into multi-year capacity reservations that ignore falling battery costs. Pacific Gas and Electric will either renegotiate or watch their levelized storage costs exceed those of competitors signing shorter deals this fall. The margin pressure surfaces in rate cases by mid-2025. Cybertruck lease deals promoted for August. Lease terms cap annual mileage at $10,000 with overage fees that climb steeply after year 2. Delivery fleets testing the vehicle will discover this structure destroys their per-mile economics faster than purchase options. Hertz and similar operators face a choice between absorbing losses or walking away from Cybertruck volume commitments. Tesla expands certified pre-owned program. Private party sales are about to feel the squeeze. Discounted inventory with full factory coverage undercuts the usual used car pitch on price alone. GM and Stellantis must either roll out competing certified electric programs within the next 2 quarters or accept slower turnover on their own lots. The data to watch is how quickly average days on market for non-Tesla EVs climbs after this hits the listings. Owners holding older models without the latest hardware will see bids fall even faster. Robotaxi service live in 7 major metros. 7 metros sound like scale until the supervision requirement sinks in. The real test comes when those drivers are removed. That's when liability questions hit the city councils. Waymo now has to accelerate its own expansion plans in overlapping markets or watch denser mapping data get collected first. Insurance rates for these operations will drop once the supervised miles demonstrate reliability. That timeline puts pressure on state houses to clarify rules before the next budget cycle. Giga Texas Robotaxi infrastructure upgrades. Construction crews are already pouring concrete for dedicated Cybercab bays. Those facilities will support twice the daily cycles of standard stations because the vehicles never leave the network. Local utilities now face a choice: upgrade their Austin substations ahead of schedule or accept rolling constraints on other commercial loads. The knock-on effect appears in 2026 when peak hour pricing for all Texas commercial EV charging starts reflecting this concentrated demand. Grid planners outside the metro are already modeling the ripple. Einride Tesla semi-deal triples fleet. Einride's order locks in volume that forces Daimler and Volvo to match delivery timelines on their battery trucks or lose the same logistics tenders. The phased rollout also gives Tesla real-world data on European charging patterns that no other fleet can match. Expect those competitors to announce accelerated pilot programs in Scandinavia by the end of this year, once the first 100 units hit roads. That data edge could shift regulatory approval timelines for all electric semis across the EU. Cybercab prototypes undergo public road testing. Gold paint makes the test vehicles stand out, but the real signal is that public road miles are accumulating without a chase car. That setup gives Tesla edge case data competitors can't replicate in closed tracks. Zoox and Motional now need to release comparable public testing logs or watch their own safety claims lose credibility with the same cities. The first regulatory filing after these miles stack up will tell us how fast commercial permits move before summer.